Welcome along to Friday Night Football. An enormous clash, this one. Collingwood under the pump for all sorts of reasons. Come up against the Hawks, who had a tough loss last week, but Hawthorn have had Wood over Collingwood for quite some time. Guests, what about Asava Ratugolea and the Cats last night? Massive win. Juddy is back in the house. Scotty Burns is here. And then we go back to 25 years ago when Dunstall and Craig Kelly went toe-to-toe in the goal square. They will be on as well. There is so much to get through. I look across at our captain. Always happy to see him, although unfortunately he's in lockdown at the moment. Luke Darce, social distancing. How are you, big fella?
Hello, Howard. Great to see you. 4 debutants tonight is fantastic. R2, Will Kelly from the Magpies is going to be sensational. His dad's going to join us tonight, and a couple of debutants, Will Day and Josh Morris for the Hawks. So that's a good thing tonight, Howard. Looking forward to that.
Damo is in the house. Another big week in the world of AFL, Damien.
It was, but I'm looking most forward to tonight, the re-emergence of the Chieftain on Friday night Triple M. How exciting.
Very much looking forward to that. He is talking about what happened 25 years ago when he was involved in a series of altercations with Jason Dunstall in the goal square. So looking forward to that.
Had a few altercations with a few people in this room too, particularly the pencil neck.
He has. Does he still manage you, or have you split you two?
We're talking Jason Tunstall. We're talking Ned.
Yeah, you really got that around the wrong way, Howard.
Yeah, no, I think that was back to front. Yeah, we've had a long-term association, Howie, way back in the day. I think he's your man, isn't he, these days, Howard?
Anyway, Nathan
6x6.
Brown is here. Hello,
I
beautiful.
cannot wait to ask Ned about the 6x6 deal. He's the man who put it together. He can finally put it to bed for us. You've put so many people out of work at Fox, Howard. It's time for you to pay your dues. I think
It's a bit like Amazon, Howard.
Oh, here he is. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for coming in, and very good to be back, Howard, too. I go away sparingly, and I don't like leaving the show. There's obviously the data would say that bad things happen when I leave this show, but I did get pulled away on significant business last Friday night.
What was that business?
It was a transformational commercial deal that needed to be negotiated between Southern Cross Austereo, Judd Corp, and the as yet unnamed leading Australian and worldwide organisation. So I had me and my M&A team crunching the numbers, doing extensive DD round the clock, Howard, and we have a very big announcement later on in the show.
I look forward to that. Was it the Byron Bay Cookie Co. you're in negotiations with?
No, all will be revealed soon, Howard,
All right.
but it is a significant deal.
Commercial deal.
Isn't that
Sorry,
exercise
Brenny.
other place that you were rumoured to be copying? Aren't they from somewhere up on the coastal Byron?
Which place is this, Nate?
Byron
You're talking
Bay.
to riddles. You're talking
Byron
to riddles
Bay.
again.
So we brought up a couple of weeks ago that the exercise, what are they called?
I don't know. It's your story,
The two
Nate.
girls. They're from Byron. So I was just wondering why you would have been up there.
Not one of the great storytellers, Nate. If anyone else followed that, I'd love an interpretation.
That was a touch cryptic, Nate.
Brownie, I'm lost too, Brownie.
Is we going to the issues that Jagged had with...
So Jagged had issues
Oh,
with a
yeah.
company called...
Right.
And the two girls who ran that company
Okay.
Second
were
time in
from...
English.
Yeah.
Were from Byron Bay. Sorry I didn't get out English the first time. I've been working on it.
You got there in the end. No, well, they're not sponsoring. They're not doing this commercial
They're not
arrangement
part of it.
that I've been negotiating. No.
You're just
So when is this being announced?
It'll be announced later on in the show, but it's a significant milestone for this company and potentially the state of Victoria.
You'll be happy to know that the state of Victoria, well, I look forward to hearing this. It's a big announcement.
needs a fillip right now.
Big announcement. I can't wait for this. You'll be happy to know that your replacement, Daisy Thomas, was outstanding, Juddy.
Yes.
And even more, to step up and take over the Judge Juddy segment and throw your hat in the ring for that was an extraordinarily courageous
Especially
thing
when
to
I
do.
heard there wasn't all assistance with the rest of the crew. Howard, who not only created beef with Ed Kerno a couple of weeks before, made life a bit difficult for Daisy, another former Carlton great.
Tried to undermine him. He said maybe you could speak a little faster, Daisy. I thought was bordering on rude.
Okay. Daisy was
right.
fantastic bringing his own segment to the table, and it took wonderful courage. Darce, as the leader of the show, I need your honest opinion here. What did you think of what he rolled out?
He's got some work to do, Daisy.
No, he did.
Before he goes,
That's hard. I'm not having that because I thought he was really good.
Before you go with your own segment, you want to make sure.
No.
I look to our big nose producer and say, that is you who needs to do some serious looking in the mirror and go, you can't send someone out into a segment if he hasn't got material that's even remotely funny.
Darce,
This is just way too harsh, Darce.
Mate, I couldn't have been Daisy's biggest supporter last Friday night, but when you go with your own segment, and Big Nose has put him under the bus there and said, righto, there's a thing called Judge Juddy that he's got a whole team of people
Shoving
working
a knife
on.
in his back.
So now that he's not on air, you're prepared to put him under the bus. You could have done it to his face last week, Darce.
I was on the button going, get the boy off. For God's sake, give him a hand. I was
think you're
trying to help him with all the power I had, Howie, behind the scenes. I tried to help him on air as well. But going the own segment's not an easy thing to do, Howie, on a Friday night. So
No.
he'll be better for the run.
He
Daisy.
will, I reckon.
There's
you're
no
safe.
doubt
I
about
reckon.
that.
Hey,
He
well
won't mind
done.
that. He won't mind that feedback.
Well done to your man Elon Musk, who you wrote off.
You did write him off, Judge.
I noticed his trillion-dollar profits he's rolling in now.
Not over yet, Howard.
Is it not? Is it
Everyone
not?
said that about the tulips a couple hundred years ago. We all know how this story ends. Very big difference between being early and being wrong, Howard. Don't forget that.
Okay. The Sunday rub last week, there's a little bit of audio. I put it to the boys. What's something you'd love to do in life that you haven't yet achieved? And they were all talking about different things. I'm interested in your feedback on what Nath would like to do in life that he hasn't done
Really
yet.
isn't first segment worthy.
Well, this is what he said. What's something in life you haven't done, like Nath hadn't been skiing, that you'd like to do? You went skiing, but what else would you like to do?
If I wasn't in the media, I would like to have a crack at being a coach.
Now this is like I was the best player in the comp for 10 weeks statement.
Story.
Compare yourself to a modern coach. Who are you?
Modern coach. I'd be an attacking coach, Howard.
Right.
Communication would be something I'd have to work on with the players, obviously.
I thought Ross Lyon laughing in the background was disrespectful.
Ross Lyon?
That was.
I was
So,
relieved he said coaching. I thought for a second it was going to go down a very awkward path.
what do you think? You've played a lot of football with him. You know.
What was the awkward part I was going to go down?
No, I don't think we need to worry about that. Nate.
It's the vulnerable age where you share things about yourself. It doesn't go well for Nate. He puts that back. Look, like Nate's a lot of things. He can take to things very quickly. Probably not coaching.
Judge?
I wouldn't have thought.
Well, maybe development coach. Be a good development coach, no?
Tell us your central tenets, Nate. I want to explore this a bit more with you.
No, we don't need to explore
No,
it.
I'm right behind you.
We don't
No,
need to.
we do. I'm right behind you.
I know you're not behind me.
No, I am. So you're an attacking coach. What else are you bringing to the table?
Howard, we don't need to suck.
No, we
It's
do, we do, we
okay,
do.
Howard. It's okay. It was just something that I brought up because I didn't really prepare for your stupid little quiz that you were doing. So I thought I'd just throw something out there that might shut you up. But here we are a week later talking about it.
He's a nice old sniper, Howard. He throws these little vignettes at you that you don't think about that come back with.
This is.
I
you
believe
back,
that you've
Daisy.
thrown Daisy under the bus tonight.
Darce, yeah, I agree.
No, you.
I agree.
You've thrown it to Darce and you've wanted Darce to open up.
Of course, that's what he does. I'm a front stabber. That's the difference between me and you, Howie. I'd straight up go straight to the source. You're a little bit of a sniper behind the scenes.
We've told the story.
Political animal.
We told the
supporting
story
it, mate.
about war, Howard, and the conscripts and the volunteers
Yes.
when Terry Wallace accused Kingsley Hunter of being involved in the war when they were running away and shooting them in the back. I think that's what you do.
A back shooter.
Yeah, a back shooter. That's what he is. He's a take you down when you're not looking sort of guy.
That's as low a thing you can say about most guys.
I think
Granny?
I reckon that's your second story in 9 minutes that you've been told, Nate. To be completely honest, Damo, do we need to touch on any news in this first segment? Because
We normally don't, do we?
Well,
Why do we change a formula
well,
that seems to be...
simply because I think we've run out of stuff to talk about.
Well, that
a
might
good
be a
enough
good
reason.
reason.
She's not exactly flowing from where I sit at the moment, Damo.
Well, what do you want to start? Do you want to start with the debutantes in tonight's game? Look, the crowd situation, which we have been discussing on and off over the course of the year, it has taken a turn with the lockdown again in Melbourne, hasn't it, obviously, and where the grand final will be. We had BT banging on about media coverage of it last week, but it is going to be a serious issue. If Victoria can't get any form of crowd back to a venue, forget that contract that's in place to 2057. It just has to be opened up to other possibilities, and the WA option to me looms as big as anyone, because they're at least by the end of next week going to have 50% capacity into a 60,000 stadium. They've knocked off the idea of having a full house, Darce, if you haven't got it with that, on the Sunday Derby of next week. They've actually reduced that number back to the 50%, the 30,000, but they're certainly well and truly ahead of where the rest of the country is when it comes to crowds, and I think that's the starting point when it comes to a grand final.
Purple, it would essentially be the state government who'd have control of that, seeing as the contract is between them and the AFL.
Yes, as a starting point.
Could you see the state government using that with leverage with the other states, saying which state has supported us the most? and they're the ones we will give that to. So who opens the borders first?
I think it's
or
more the
various
AFL
other
to
things?
broker those conversations. And while Martin Pakula today made a statement that the grand final in his eyes will still be in Melbourne, it's going to be a hard argument to mount if they cannot get one person into that venue. So they're going to keep saying that, and we are still a long way away. And it does move, but unfortunately, the movement when it comes to this COVID-19 situation is negatively moving in a Victorian sense.
Yeah, it is. And look, I probably was one that you just thought there's no way you move that from the
Yeah, you were that way.
And it's
Yeah.
a long way away, and times change.
Have you
but-
changed us?
Well, I have in terms of if you had no crowd. I just couldn't see a scenario where by October, when we had the grand final, that the world hadn't moved by that place, which was maybe a naive thing to suggest. But I think if you had a scenario where you could get 60,000 or 80,000 at ANZ Stadium, Juddy, you're our money man. What sort of price tag would you put on hosting a grand final when you desperately need to bring those sort of events? What would Sydney pay to get 80,000 people at ANZ Stadium?
I actually would have no idea. I mean, I assume with all the ancillary things that would come with it, it'd be tens of millions, I would have thought. I would have thought north of 10 million. But I think it'd be nervous about planning it too far out because we don't actually know what the future's going to hold for any states. So to commit to a state and then 4 weeks out, you could have an outbreak in that state and then you're back to a no-crowd situation. So I think it's going to be hard to make a call so far out.
I agree. And I think it's such an unusual and disrupted year anyway that the longer they can wait, and I know the commercial side of it doesn't allow them the luxury of time, but the longer you can wait to then give it to the traditional highest earned team or the highest ranked team going into the game. I know that means you have to wait till a preliminary final weekend is completed, but let's face it, we've been agile enough, haven't we?
You can have multiple
year.
plans working at the same time.
Yeah.
You could have multiple states planning for it with one ready to pull the trigger within a few weeks to go.
I think they'll be going to the biggest check,
Yeah.
not where the highest ranked team is. And
So where does the biggest check come from, Darce? Is it Perth?
most amount of people in the crowd, doesn't it? I suppose ANZ's got 80,000 capacity still, and
But you get 80,000 out to ANZ Stadium?
look, I would think for that unique event to say I went to the AFL Grand Final that was played the 1 year outside of the MCG, I think that would be not a big, depending on if people can travel up there from Victoria, then you get all that economic impact, don't you, of the travellers at that stage. So it's
You're guaranteed 60,000 in Perth if they're allowed that amount in there. And there's a lot of, obviously, footy people there who do barrack if there's a Victorian team who makes that. So there's a big case there for Perth.
Might take a quick break because joining us next, Asava Ratagalia to talk all about the Cats' incredible second half last night. Judge Juddy, Scotty Burns, then Jason Dunstall and Craig Kelly looking back on a very famous match 25 years ago. And Craig's young son debuts tonight for the Teal Pies, so keep an eye out for Will Kelly. Quick break here. McDonald's, Triple M Rocks Footy.